What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Happy Saturday night. What's going on, everybody? Hey, what's up? Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I don't think I saw you guys last week. I think it was, yeah, I think it was Easter. What's going on? What's up, Truancy? Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, you guys. Hey, it's Betty. I know. I checked. Lilikio. Welcome, y'all. Welcome, you guys. What's up, Steph? How's everybody doing? What's up? Good to see you guys. Good to see you. Happy Saturday night to you guys. We're going to have an awesome conversation tonight. I'm so excited about it. Hey, Carol. What's up, everyone on YouTube? Welcome, you guys. Happy Saturday night. I hope you guys are doing well. My God, this week went by so fast. It's pretty crazy, pretty crazy. Welcome, you guys. Welcome to everyone on YouTube. So, listen, I have this book that I read. It's Betty, right? Just about to say, yeah, I knew it was Betty. Thanks, guys. Thanks. What's up, Sam baby? How you doing? Welcome, you guys. Hey, Yolanda, good to see you. Happy Saturday night. Welcome, everybody. So listen, this book that I want to read to you just a paragraph of absolutely changed my life. It made me cry. It made me laugh. I mean, it gave me tears of joy. Hey, Missy Sue, great to see you. It's Sunday afternoon here. Where are you at? What's up, Energy? So the book is called, hey, Skate, good to see you. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for your patience. The book is called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. It's one of many books that has changed my life. Can you guys on YouTube hear me all right? Let me know, because I want to make sure y'all can hear me. Anyway, so this is like, I've been talking to some people, you know, and I'm always inspired by my interactions with my loved ones. And, you know, I know a lot of people have a practice, a prayer practice, right? And so, I was raised in a religion. I was raised Catholic. And so my understanding of prayer was like little old ladies looking like they were like crying and begging at the same time. It didn't look very enjoyable. And I always wondered, I was like, wow, what are they, so you're just supposed to like beg God to do you a favor? Is that is that how it works? And how does he decide who gets the favors? Anyway, listen, so the whole New Zealand, New Zealand's in the house. Awesome, man. On the other side of the planet. I love that. What's up, Silver? So listen, I want to give you guys some practical wisdom to think about. Now, some of this may run it may run opposite to what you think you understand about prayer. But let me ask you, those of you who do pray, how often do you get your prayers answered? Like, would you say 1 out of 10? 1 out of 100? I mean, like when you're really praying and you need, or you feel like you need something to happen, right? I mean, I know the way I used to pray, was batting around a 0 with all the things I was praying for, right? And I don't know, maybe some of you have that experience, maybe some of you don't. Maybe some of you guys are so good at praying that stuff happens for you like that, right? Well, it certainly depends on the prayer, but it also depends on the nature of the prayer, right? Of the person praying, in other words. And so, hey, Kate, good to see you. So listen, I want to give you guys this gift, and I think many of you may find it so captivating that you may end up going out and buying the book. It's just like, I just want to read one page from it, because truly this is like chapter 1, book 1 of this series. It's called Conversations with God. And the question is one of the ages, which is you're gonna see. The question that Neil asked God was, are you saying that when I'm praying for something that I'm actually pushing it away from me? And the answer that Neil got from God, who he's talking to, and I believe that personally, I believe that this was a conversation that Neil had. Hi, Diana, good to see you, with God. And, you know, for you to decide that, you'd have to read the book and decide if the words that are in reply are godly, I guess, right? So you tell me, this was the answer that he got. This is a question which has been asked through the ages and has been answered whenever it has been asked. Yet you have not heard the answer or will not believe it. The question is answered again in today's terms and today's language thusly. You will not have that which you ask for, nor can you have anything you want. This is because your very request is a statement of lack, and your saying you want a thing only works to produce that precise experience, wanting in your reality. The correct prayer is therefore never a prayer of supplication, but a prayer of gratitude. When you thank God in advance for that which you choose to experience in your reality, you in effect acknowledge that it is there, in effect. Thankfulness is thus the most powerful statement to God, an affirmation that even before you ask, I have answered. Therefore, never supplicate, appreciate. I mean, it's just such a perfect answer. But Neil has another question. So Neil says, okay, but what if I'm grateful to God in advance for something and then it never shows up, right? That could lead to disillusionment, Neil says. This answer, listen to this answer. This is the answer from God. Gratitude cannot be used as a tool to which to manipulate God. It's not a device with which to fool the universe. You cannot lie to yourself. Your mind knows the truth of your thoughts. If you're saying, thank you, God, thank you so much, all the while thinking and being very clear that it isn't there in your present reality, the thing you're thanking him for, you can't expect God to be less clear than you and so produce it for you. God knows what you know, and what you know is what appears as your reality. Okay, so then the question was, but how can I be truly grateful for something that's not there? What a fucking great question. How can you be grateful for something that's not there? Faith. If you have but the faith of a mustard seed, you shall move mountains. You come to know it is there because I said it is there. Because I said that even before you ask, I shall have answered. Because I said and have said to you in every conceivable way, through every teacher you can name, that whatsoever you shall choose, choosing it in my name, so shall it be. Okay, Neil said, but why do so many prayers go unanswered then? This is the last part of what I'm going to read. It's called Conversations with God, Yanin. This is the last part of the book I'm going to read, and then I'm going to talk to you, okay? Bear with me. This is the answer. No prayer, and a prayer is nothing more than a fervent statement of what is, goes unanswered. Every prayer, every thought, every statement, every feeling is creative. To the degree that it is fervently held as truth, to that degree will it be made manifest in your experience. When it is said that a prayer has not been answered, what has actually happened is that the most fervently held thought or word or feeling has become operative. Yet what you must know, and here's the secret, is that it is always the thought behind the thought, what might be called the sponsoring thought, that is the controlling thought. If, therefore, you beg and supplicate, there seems a much smaller chance that you will experience what you think you are choosing, because the sponsoring thought behind every supplication and all begging is that you do not have that with what you're wishing for. That's the sponsoring thought, and that becomes your reality. The only sponsoring thought which could override this thought is the thought held in faith that God will grant whatever is asked without fail. Some people have such faith, but very few. The process of prayer becomes much easier when, rather than having to believe that God will always say yes to every request, that one understands intuitively that the request is not even necessary, then the prayer is a prayer of thanksgiving, not a request at all, but a statement of gratitude for what is, right? So I just wanted to read that part to you because it's so incredibly clarifying, right? I mean, like, we're taught that God is a wizened old gray-haired white guy in the sky who is what? What do we imagine? That he's listening to billions of people supplicate and beg him, her, it to change the conditions of the life that you created for yourself? I mean, is that what we think? Is like, by what rule of thumb would God decide whose prayers get answered and whose don't? The whole notion is, I mean, it's pretty crazy, right? If God made us in its image and gave us the creative power and free will to create the conditions in our life, why would God then turn around and have any notion of responsibility for solving the problems that you created as the creator of your life? That makes no sense whatsoever. And God has better things to do. Okay? If you have children, right? And you have put them in a safe place to play. Do you care if they play hide and seek or, tag or cowboys and Indians, whatever? Does it matter to you? I mean, of course you want them to be safe, but every parent knows that you're never going to be able to keep them safe all the time. Not if you're going to allow them to live. So, do you think that God is like up there micromanaging what he has given us every capacity to do and choose for ourselves? That's what kind of I think I'm a pretty good parent, and I would never, that would be such a colossal waste of time. You put them in a safe place and you're letting them play. So what I'm going to go in and micromanage? Of course, if they get hurt, I'm right there, right? And so is God. But for the most part, the truth is, you have to let them. You have to let them be and play. And that's what God does. And this is so hard for people to accept, that this notion that God is not concerned because God knows the outcome. So in one sentence, we say God is omnipotent, all-powerful, knows everything. And in the next sentence, we say, except, well, there is the devil and he's competing with God. And so because we don't believe what we say about God, because if we did, then we would know there's no devil, because how could God have a rival? How could the creator of everything have something that could thwart its will? The two are incompatible, but religion is very confusing and indoctrinating. And so if you understand and believe and know what God is, then you know intuitively that there is no devil, that there is no rival force, that nothing can thwart the will of the Creator, because everything is His creation. The hypocrisy of the fear-mongering that is inherent in most religions is like mind-blowing, right? And that's why you have to get these kids really young and teach them this stuff and get them very confused and in fear, because the only way you could doubt is if you doubt God, right? Because fear has to come from this notion that the outcome is not assured. And I can tell you one thing that I know. The outcome is assured. And that's why we have free will. That's why we have as many chances as we want to get this right. And we'll just keep on down the path, repeating and repeating. Good evening. Hey, Kalina, good to see you. And God is more than happy to continue to put up road sign after road sign, obstacle after obstacle, until you get the fucking point. And over, sign after sign, until you understand the repetitive cycle that you're in and break it. That's what we're here to do. That's truly what karma is, right? Let me see. A relief appeal to the world, a relief appeal to humanity. Yes, I'm posting like all day, every day about gossip, but right now I'm talking about prayer, my friend. So back to what I was saying. When this goes with everything that I always am teaching you guys about understanding the law of resonance and understanding your divine ability as a creation made in God's image, your ability to create. You have the ability to create other humans. You have the ability to create your own reality. And in fact, you're doing it, you're shaping it all the time. But most people, when it comes to praying, they fall into this supplication, this begging. And all you're going to get from that is more begging, more supplication. And that's why so many prayers around the world go unanswered, because the person praying is so separate. This is such an impossible thing that they want. They feel so separate from it that they need a miracle, but they don't understand that the miracle is in them. And I've seen miracles, and many of you have witnessed miracles as well. I'm sure of it. And I'm sure if you haven't witnessed them, you've heard about them. And maybe you doubt their existence. Maybe you think they only exist in old books, in old religious books. But miracles are very much part of life. And if you haven't been experiencing them, then perhaps you need to deviate from your normal path and find one that is a bit more mystical, a bit more supernatural, not in the Hollywood way, in the quantum way, in the divine way, in the way that's in each of our soul. Because each and every one of you has absolutely the capacity to create your reality. And if you're spending your time thinking and pleading and begging to a God who you think is like, hopefully in a good mood today, maybe he has time to hear your prayer of the 8 billion he received, and he's decided, you know what, I really like the way he said that prayer today. Or, my God, that poor bastard, so desperate. You know what? I can't take this anymore. It's so pathetic. Let me grant him his wish. No, like that's not like what is happening? That's not how God works. what that is so human of us to imagine. And we go so far as to imagine that God would handle his as if he has issues, as if God has problems, but then we imagine, because we can't think past the notion of war, that, there must be a war. Oh, you know what? The angels, they're probably God's army. Yeah, because God handles his problems like the fucking monkeys on earth do. Right, okay. Like the thinking is just so incredibly childlike and egotistical and human, very human, Like, do you think that God solves his problems with war? I mean, is this is really an ongoing thought? People are taught that there is a war going on right now between God and his army and the devil and his. And let me just tell you that from where I'm sitting, that's just about the fucking dumbest thing I've spoken and heard in a long time, okay? Do you think God needs an army to solve his problems as if he has problems? The whole thing is his. Every single thing is his. What problem could he have? What problem would God have? I mean, it's just like we have to remember what we are And in order to do that, we have to unlearn a lot of bullshit, a lot of things we've been taught. And yes, some of that stuff comes from religion, okay? There's some good stuff in religion. Don't be terribly offended by my bad, but there's some ridiculous, fear-mongering, totally mind-warping, confusing concepts that are also indoctrinated through religious teachings, like the notion of hell, the notion that God would punish his children for eternity for a mistake they decided to make with the free will he gifted them. Don't you see the insane, sadistic hypocrisy in that? I know, Stephanie, that Satan doesn't exist. I don't think it, I know it. Satan is an idea made up by a bunch of fear-mongering Roman emperors who needed a rival for God, or else what would you have to fear? How could your soul be in jeopardy if God's will couldn't be thwarted? And who can thwart God's will? No one, right? Except, well, we need to create a figure who could rival God. Okay, the devil, the boogeyman. And then we need to create a place where people go if they don't do what the fuck they're told. Oh, remember that one mythology? It comes from the Norse. What was the name of that one woman? She had the underworld. Oh, hell. Yes, hell. Use the same word. The people won't know. Yeah, we'll call it hell. Good idea. So we have the devil and hell, and if they don't pay their taxes and do what the fuck they're told, eternal damnation. That'll put the fear of God in them. Yeah. Oh, and you only live once, okay? Yeah, because that was changed around 300 AD with the, what was the emperor's name? He had an epic battle with the Pope because he believed in reincarnation, which was very commonly believed. And there was a part of the new Christian religion that very much believed in reincarnation, like every other religion and philosophy of belief. And then the emperor got together with the bishops and they said, look, man, we're trying to make this very special. So everyone can't think they're the child of God, because then that doesn't make Jesus very special, does he? So we got to get rid of that. And we can't have people imagining that that they have countless lives, because then they're not going to be afraid to die. And how are we going to get them to do what we want? And the Pope, to his credit, I think it was Pope Vigilius. Vigilius was like, I don't care, you know. So listen, don't get me wrong. Vigilius was as corrupt as the emperor. In fact, they helped each other get in office. But they fought over this. And the Pope refused to trash these writings about reincarnation, which were very popular at the time. And so the emperor fucking locked him up and threw away the key because he refused to sign this thing which said that that's no longer a valid teaching. So what ended up happening, crazy enough, was the Pope was busted out. He was busted out of prison, but he never signed it. But the emperor lied, of course, and said he did sign it. And that banished and made the notion of reincarnation in Christianity, basically like blasphemy, as if there's such a thing as blasphemy. You know, do you think that there's anything you could say that would offend God? Do you think God could be offended by you? No, I got news for you. No, he can't. Better things to do. Anyway, what was I saying? So, good evening, health. How's everybody doing tonight? So what the most important thing I want you guys to take away from this, and if you have doubts about this, then all you have to do is test it. All you have to do is experiment with it. And to experiment with this is to experiment with your fucking destiny. So why not give it a whirl? Yeah, by the way, God's not offended by bad language either, okay? Just in case you were wondering. So listen, first of all, you can talk to God. You can talk to Jesus. You can talk to anyone you want. People talk to God and then they don't wait for an answer. And then when they get an answer, they said, oh, it was just me. I just imagined it. Well, if God was going to talk to you, how else could he do it but through your imagination? Would you want to hear like a ring? Like, what do you want? People talk to God and then they're not quiet enough to hear the answers. And God is talking to us all the time in 1,000 ways. And probably the last thing that God uses, or would ever use, is language. Because why would he? He can use thoughts, he can use images, he can use songs, he can use signs, he can use the physical. What would possess God to have to actually speak to another human being when it's probably the least convenient way for him to communicate? Anyway, my point is, try this if you doubt this. Stop begging and pleading and start thanking and appreciating. And if you can bring yourself to overcome the societal conditioning, the materialistic reductionist that we're taught about this world, about, well, seeing is believing. No, that's the opposite of true. Everything they teach us is essentially the opposite of true. Believing is seeing. And if you, thank you, Kalina, I appreciate that. And if you can bring yourself to, listen, if you ask me right now, if I could get up, if I could stand up, I'm not going to tell you that I believe I can. I'm going to tell you I know I can. Because I do. So there's a difference between belief and knowledge, knowing and believing. There's levels to this. Believing is one thing, but knowing is another. If you can bring yourself to such a fervent understanding and knowing that what you want is already here, it's already arrived, and you can thank God for it, and you can celebrate that gratitude, that feeling, then that thing will show up in your life. And you don't have to try to figure out why or how or anything. All you have to do is sit back and bask in gratitude. And you have to mean it. You have to know it and you have to mean it. Because you're not going to fool God or the universe or yourself by faking it. The question is, can you have enough faith, enough knowing to usher something into your existence? Because that is exactly how it works. And the people who get really good at this, things fall from the sky for them. And I just happen to be one of those people. And that's why I'm sharing this with you, because I've experienced it firsthand. I've experienced everything from like the lottery, which is a random number generator, which can be affected by your thoughts and feelings, of course. I mean, like everything around me, and you guys can't see it all, but everything around me is a reminder of how true what I'm telling you is. So all I'm saying is, if you are someone who prays, who, like I was taught the Hail Mary and the Our Father, and I was like, never really exactly sure what I was praying for, or what I was even saying. I even learned it in Spanish, and then I really had no idea what I was saying, but I knew all the words, and I sounded pretty good. Anyway, if you've been praying like most people, chances are you haven't had a lot of positive responses to your prayers. The big ones. The ones that feel big, right? Because most of the time, if people who don't normally pray, they pray when they really need something, right? So if you've been doing that, and you've been getting the results you've probably been getting, which is to say no results at all, then maybe, just maybe, you're missing something. Maybe, just maybe, if you did something a little differently, you may find yourself with a different outcome. So why not? Why not give it a try? Why not try this way of praying, since the other way seems like, success rate is lower than most rehab centers in the United States. I can tell you from experience how powerful it is and how well it works, and you could try it. Now, you have to have enough faith in what you're praying for and enough gratitude to thank God that it has arrived. Even though you don't see it, even though it hasn't physically shown up or manifested in your reality yet. The question is, can you have that much faith? Can you believe in God? I mean, so many of you say you love God, say you believe in God so much. But yet, if you ask God for something, what? God just turns his back on you? Well, maybe you're not asking the right way, is my point. Maybe you need to thank God for what you have already, and then watch as what you're asking for shows up. And sometimes it'll fall from the sky. And I'm telling you that this is a different way to pray. And it's in my experience, and I was raised Catholic, so I was praying for things, in other words, begging for things all the time. And I can tell you it doesn't work. Not even a little bit, not ever. Most people who pray, their prayers are never answered. They're like, please, please. Why? Why? Because every supplication, every begging, every plea that you make to God, the only thing that you're saying is, I don't have this. You're not acknowledging God in any way. Because if you were, you would be thanking him for what you know is coming into your life. Whatever it is. Whatever miracle you think you're asking for. The more separate and impossible you believe it is, the less probability and chances you have of bringing it into your life. And that's the way it works. That is cause and effect. That is the laws of the universe. So therefore, there should never be a supplication. There should always simply be an appreciation. It's always a prayer of gratitude. If you truly believe God is the creator of all things, and the outcome is assured, and his love for you is as unconditional as any love could be, which it is. And that's why there's no hell. That's why there's no punishment. That's why there won't be a judgment day. God didn't make us all to then line us up and sentence us. That's not God. That's not what God's about, okay? That's what religion is about. That's what fear-mongering is about. God is about unconditional love and experience and giving his children as many opportunities as they could ever imagine to figure it out, to get it right. That's unconditional love. You see, in our family structures, our love, that even if we have unconditional love for our children, that's not the love that they generally are raised with, right? Why do I say that? Because what happens when your 5-year-old steals your iPad? What do? You take it away from him and you say, now go sit in the corner for 5 minutes, because you know you're not supposed to. You get the love that you give him is now conditional. Do you understand? Even though that's not the point and you're just trying to be a good parent, we withhold our love based on the behavior of our children. It's one of the ways we still rear our children. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. But what I'm saying is, then we as adults project that onto God and imagine God as this parental figure. And that's off. That's off kilter. That's not God's role. Yes, God is the creator, but he's not a paternal father. He's not here to discipline us. That's on us to figure out. And I see this all the time. People are just waiting around for Jesus to come. Why? So that he can clean house, so that he can punish everyone. I'm like, yeah. Because when Jesus gets here, what the first thing he's going to do is start busting heads. Like, what are you talking about? People refuse to take responsibility for themselves in this life. And so they look to what other people have said about God instead of to their own experience. Instead of having a conversation with God and praying and meditating and being quiet enough to listen to the answer, they're going to read what someone else wrote, a translation of a translation of a translation of a translation of a translation, and then believe that? over their own experience, that's humanity. That's what we do. Instead of allowing our experience to be the wisdom and understanding we have, we take a book that was written 3,000 years ago and translated 4,000 times, literally, which has very little to do with God. And then we say, oh, that's what we're supposed to believe about God. That's the word of God. Because some emperor said that. I love that. God wrote that. No, God doesn't write that. Humans write that. Humans write things, yeah, that's what we do. God doesn't write a lot of things, though. God doesn't do land deals, not in Israel. God doesn't have a chosen people, okay? Regardless of whatever book you're reading says. God he doesn't play favorites, no. Everyone is loved unconditionally and equally, regardless of whether they love and believe in God. If it's really hard for people to imagine that God could be so completely unconditionally loving, but that's God. Now, what gives me insight into God over you? Nothing, except I talk to God. I meditate every day and I listen to the answers I get. I don't dismiss them because they're not in the voice of, this idea of God. And you can too. The only thing separating you from the Creator is you. But God is always there, always waiting for you to talk to Him again, or her, or it. God is both genders, obviously. God is everything and nothing. God is the great unseen, and He's also everything that you can see, right? I thought this when you suggested it's a year ago, but I never finished it. I've read this book, Conversations with God. You can't see shit, you can't really see it, but by Neil Donald Walsh. I've read it, I would say 4 times, and I've listened to it 3 or 4 times. And every time I listen to it, it blows my mind. Every time I listen to it, it's just, the word is so perfect. And it's a reminder. It's a remembering. That's right, Antique. God is love, God is joy, God is freedom. And those words are interchangeable, right? I mean, they're love, joy, freedom, that's God. And that's what God wants for its children, right? So anything else is not of God. Religion is a poison pill. If that's my opinion. Are there good things in religion? Yeah, I could cherry pick some good things out of each and every religion. Certainly. Like a lot of Jesus's teachings are just gold. But for the most part, there's some really fucked up shit in the Bible. Like slaughter and like this idea of a wrathful God and people don't understand that all of that stuff has been adopted from other like religions and pagan rituals, and it's most of it is bullshit. Now there is some good teachings and wisdom in religion, but those of you who follow me know that I have very little desire or respect for almost all organized religions, because they are a poison pill. They are a path to duality and darkness. If they were truly a path to the light, then everyone practicing them would be happy, and they're not. They're fucking miserable, most of them. And that's because religion is... Humanity, regardless of what religion tells you, is not flawed. It's not... We don't have original sin. Babies aren't born... Don't get me started on this. With anything wrong with them, right? You have to be convinced of that bullshit. You have to be convinced that your nature is bad, and that's not true. That our nature is geared towards positivity. We're lucky. Not all species or sentient beings are necessarily like that. But human beings, thankfully, we do tend to fall on the positive side. Now, not always. There are some people who were born under a bad sign. They're dark, and sometimes they're goth, and they think about death. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, there's some people who are dark or are more polarized towards the negative than the positive. We all know people like that, but that's part of our existence here. But my point is, religion is a system of control, a system of governance. It's a poison pill. Because the truth is, God would never give people a set of rules or commandments that have the word not in them, okay? And every commandment says, thou shalt not. What did I just say? Freedom, joy, love. How does that interchange with thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not? How is that freedom? How is that? I mean, I'm not saying that you should steal, obviously, or kill. Those are obviously things that no human should ever do to anyone. And that should be fucking common sense. Do we need commandments for that? And would God give us, would God, seriously? It just boggles my mind. My point is, religion is a great divider. But because human beings are positive beings, they had to take what is essentially spirituality and put it in a poison pill and call it religion, and then doctor it up with fear-mongering and notions of damnation and hell and a wrathful, spiteful, hypocritical, petulant, ill-tempered God, which, like, okay, yeah, because you're more loving than God. Yeah. I mean, come on. These are real conversations. Let me read some comments. Let me see here. That's very true, but so far we survived as human beings, and we don't kill each other not because of religion. People kill each other in the name of religion all the time. You have religion, you have the Jews saying that the Muslims are trying to kill everyone. You have the Christians who are just being quiet about it because they've been confused about what Israel is. Like religion, the Crusades, religion has done nothing for this planet, period. This planet would be so much better off if we just believed in God and treated each other like Jesus said. Treat everyone as you would want to be treated. Treat everyone as you would treat me. If we just had that, the world would be a lot better place. Unfortunately, we have fights, wars, or we're fighting over the Holy Land because some land is holier than others. We've been fighting over the Holy Land for, 3,000 years now. I think maybe we're a little confused. Land is just like a person, right? It keeps a psychic imprint, okay? Why do Catholics call the day that Jesus was crucified on the cross good? Just ask yourself that question. How is it good? How is it Good Friday, the day you're not supposed to eat any meat? The day that Jesus, we're told, was crucified for our sins. And somehow in that act, our sins were forgiven for a moment. What happened? I mean, if Jesus died for our sins and they were forgiven thanks to him, then why did I have to go to confession every fucking week when I was in school and be like, yeah, I'm sorry, Father Pryor, when I looked at that girl, I really had a lot of thoughts I know I shouldn't have. I'm really sorry. No, I'm not. And, I swore at my parents. I'm really sorry. No, I'm not. And I miss church, which I know is a big one. So if you could please tell me how many Our Fathers I need to say so I don't go to hell if something happens to me and I die, that'd be great. Yeah, that all makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I'm sure God's thrilled with the whole setup. Come on, man. It's laughable. It's insane. It's crazy. I mean, that's why you got to get them from the time they're little. Or else no one will believe that shit. Let me see. What else did I miss? Okay, religion is a natural part of evolution of a species. I don't know about that. Religion is a part of natural evolution of a species, and we are ready to evolve. Oh, I see what you're saying, Yolanda. Maybe. I'm pretty sure that most civilizations don't have religion. I'm pretty sure that if you were like, and you could, if you wanted to connect with a being who was on the same level of sentience as you, on a planet that was very much like Earth, and you had the wherewithal, and you knew how to quiet your mind and send your consciousness out, you could connect to another human being on another planet. I mean, obviously it wouldn't be exactly a human being like you, but I'm sure it would be similar. Life tends to take the same form as much as it can be successful doing so. So you could have a conversation and you could ask them, do you guys have religion? And because I've done this. And they're like, what? What's religion? Oh, okay. So religion is like, it's like, well, we have a bunch of them. Okay, try to explain religion to someone who doesn't know what the fuck it is. Good luck. It's this thing where, we worship God. The creator. Yeah, the creator. And then there's all different kinds. And you're going to lose your audience really quick trying to explain what religion is. And that's for good reason, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. And thankfully we are evolving out of it. But my point is, in my opinion, it's really hard for me to imagine many planets having religion. I'm sure many planets simply evolve an understanding of the Creator and a true respect for the Creator, as opposed to the false notions that we're taught in religions. How can you say that you truly respect God and then imagine that God is like screwing things up or just not taking care of things, or made the mistake of creating a devil who then formed an army and is, quietly winning the war that he's having with them? How do you say that you truly believe in God and then imagine all these fucking lunacies about God? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. If you believe God is the creator of all things, then God can't get it wrong. And everything that's happening needs to happen. And it will stop happening when the people that God imbued with his creative spark wake the fuck up and realize that they're creating this reality just the way God created us. That's when shit will change. When we stop looking outside of ourselves for some figure to appear from the clouds and clean up our fucking mess and judge those who have been bad, and we start cleaning up the mess ourselves, starting within, and then we'll work our way out to society. But until we figure it out, things are just going to keep on keeping on. They're going to get worse and worse. And I see these comments all the time in my sex. I can't wait till Jesus comes. They're really going to get it. I don't know, it's just like you could tell what kind of father she had, but like this is insanity. If we want something to change, we have to change it. You're going to wait around for Judgment Day? You think anything is going to change? Nothing is going to change until we realize we are sovereign beings made in God's image with the creative power to shape our reality. Not wait for the Armageddon, the rapture, or the fucking whatever. We have to do it. And until we do, we're going to keep on down confusion lane, right? And so I'm just encouraging you guys, first and foremost, to try praying a little differently. See what happens. See what happens when you start believing before you can see and being grateful for it. And watch. If you can do it just once, you'll realize how powerful it is. But it takes faith. It takes faith in celebrating something that has not shown up yet. It takes a lot of faith in God to know that that thing you're asking for, that you aren't separate from it, that it is waiting to fall into your lap, and all you have to do is be grateful and truly know that it is already there. And when you turn around, that thing will be there. I promise you. That's how it works. The more fervently you believe in something and you know enough that you can thank God for it. I have read Neville's books. I love Neville Goddard. Yes. You're going to experience it in your reality. That's the way it works. That's the power God has given you. You have the same creative spark that God has. That's why we say we're made in His image. So this was about prayer, and of course I ranted a lot about religion. I'm going to read a few comments. Hopefully I didn't offend too many people. You know, listen, I was Catholic. I went to Catholic school for 12 years. I was an altar boy for 8 years. Okay, like none of it stuck. You know, and I grew out of it. And there's nothing wrong with it. You know, it's a great way to start, but there's so much more. And if your religion keeps you from learning about other things out of fear, then that's indoctrination. That's a prison. That's not religion. And most religions will have you very scared, as if your soul could be in jeopardy, you know, to learn about certain things. And don't read that book. And that person, they channel, that's of the devil. Those ETs are all fallen angels. Fear, 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 fear everything. It's all bullshit. They don't want you to know the truth. There's nothing to be afraid of. Literally, nothing to fear but fear itself. Who said that? JFK? Anyway, let me read some comments. Let me see here. Right. I said what I said. I never liked confession. Creepy to be in a box with Steve. Yeah, me either, man. Confession, and I was like, wait, why do I gotta say fucking 12 Hail Marys? What does Mary have to do with my sins? And I thought you weren't. That was so confusing, man. It's just religion to tie down and hold back. That's right, Armored Life. That's exactly right. Also, how can a priest absolve a sin? That's right. That's what gives you the idea that another man or woman has the power to absolve you of your, quote, sins. The whole fucking notion is ludicrous. The notion of sin is ludicrous. The notion of blasphemy is ludicrous. God gave you a mouth. You think you can bad mouth God? You're bad mouthing yourself. Who's to be offended? But you. There's no words you can say because God's like, I hate that word. I mean, like, what the fuck are you thinking? Like, God has better things to do. We're not the only life on the universe. Do you understand? It's infinite. It goes out and it never stops. We're one species on one planet, and we have it all wrong for the most part, most of us. And that's why the world looks the way it looks. If religion was so fucking great, the world would look a lot better than it does. And it doesn't. And it's in part because of religion. Anyway, let me read more comments. Let me see here. Hey, this area is Tornado Alley. That's true. But maybe through prayer we could. Yes. I went to Catholic grammar school and thought it was creepy. I did too. Okay. All is happening for us always, and nothing to heal, already perfect, and it's why we are here to remember that we are God. That's very well said, Antique. And it is about remembering, guys. It's about reminding and remembering. Think about that word. Re-member. Becoming part of the body again. Reminding is becoming part of the mind again. Rejoining with those parts of ourselves that we lost or were convinced out of. This notion that there's something wrong with anyone. It's all to keep us small and not remembering who we are, right? But still, a lot of good. Let me see. Good evening. Okay. FAUST. I did a video on the evolution of species where they explain the concept of typical species evolution, including the concept of religion. Oh, you'll have to send me a link to that, Yolanda. I would love to see it. Okay, I see where we are now. Yeah. I know a gal who goes to confession once a week. I used to know more than one. It seemed like all the girls I had the most fun with went to confession the most frequently. Isn't that crazy? And yeah. Oppression works really well in raising children and, really effective. The whole oppression thing that religion is really good at. Works great. Yeah. It's a miracle I didn't end up in juvie. That's what they're doing on this live. That's right. We're remembering who we are, Diana. That's right. And listen, I know that I'm caught up. I know that my talk was a little fiery, but I get a little excited about people realizing that they could be doing things differently and having a better experience. And all you have to do is try, but don't fake it. You're not going to fake it. You're not going to fool God. You can't insincerely thank God for something that isn't there. It's just not going to work. Yeah, I'm caught up with you, dude. As soon as I can figure out how to get you out of the room. Sorry, guys. Let me just remove this fool from YouTube. Anyway, yeah. So thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. Listen, if you liked what I read, if you're interested in how to pray in a way that actually works, then I recommend you pick up this book, Conversations with God. It's a trilogy. Just read chapter 1, book 1. Just read the first 15 pages. And if what you read doesn't blow your mind, hey Brad, good to see you, man. I'll upload this, man. You have to watch the replay. Thank you, Diana. I appreciate you. I read this book all the time, and it brings such relief to me. It's such a great reminder. But I also had Neil, the author of this book, on my podcast. And if you hear his story, it'll blow your mind. I mean, this guy was homeless. He was homeless for almost 6 months. I mean, he wrote an angry letter to God one night, and when he went to move his hand back, it wouldn't move, and it started to write a reply, and he was shaken. But this whole story, it's not the best book cover. It's the Complete Conversations with God. But this is the trilogy by Neale Donald Walsch. And this is probably the worst. Okay, wait, how about this? Look, it's Conversations with God by Neale Donald Walsch. This is the worst book to try to hold up. But phenomenal book. I've read it a half dozen times and listened to it like 3 or 4. All of them. Really good. If you want to have a different perspective on the Creator and on prayer, a much more effective understanding of how to pray and meditate and why the other thing doesn't work, check out that book. But I want to thank you guys so much for your time. I'm going to upload this for everyone who just got in the conversation late. And thank you to everyone who tuned in on YouTube. I love you guys. I love you guys, my IG family. Everyone have a great, great night. I hope you enjoyed my rant about religion and God and prayer, and I hope I didn't offend anyone. If I did, I apologize. I respect your beliefs, whatever they may be. My intention was not to belittle them. I'm just sharing my opinion. That's all, with love. Love this. Love you guys. Thank you so much. You all take care and have a great night. Much love to you guys. Thank you.